What if I told you some snakes grow so long they could outstretch an entire living room wall? That's no exaggeration. Today we're looking at the 10 biggest snakes in the world, starting with a couple of giants that may not be record breakers, but still command serious respect. And don't worry, none of them are hiding under your bed, unless, of course, you live in the Amazon. Let's begin with the boa constrictor. Now, this snake isn't the longest in the world, but it's legendary for its raw power. Most boas measure around 10 to 13 feet, though rare individuals can reach 14 feet. Imagine a snake as long as a small car. What makes them terrifying isn't venom, they don't have any. Instead, they wrap around their prey and squeeze with enough strength to stop blood from flowing. That's right, scientists now know it's not just suffocation, it's like flicking the off switch on the circulatory system. That kind of control makes the boa one of the most effective hunters in the animal kingdom. Next, we meet the king cobra, a snake that combines intimidating length with deadly venom. On average, it grows 12 to 15 feet, but the record holders stretch past 18 feet. That makes it the world's longest venomous snake. And unlike most snakes, the king cobra doesn't just stay low to the ground. It can raise a third of its body upright, spread its hood, and literally look a grown adult right in the eyes. That means if you're 6 feet tall, this snake can rise to meet you face to face. Not exactly the neighbor you'd want dropping by. But what makes the king cobra even more fascinating is its intelligence. Unlike most snakes, which are strictly solitary, king cobras are one of the very few species known to build nests and guard their eggs. That's parental dedication you wouldn't expect from a reptile. So between the crushing coils of the boa constrictor and the venom-packed stare-down of the king cobra, we've already met snakes that could make your skin crawl. But here's the thing, these are just the starting giants. The next snakes don't just intimidate, they break the 20-foot barrier. And once you see what's waiting at that size, the boa and cobra might start looking almost average. We've already seen giants that could crush or stare you down, but the next snakes take things to an entirely new level. These reptiles don't stop at 15 feet. They break into the 20-foot range, earning their spot among the world's largest. And trust me, once you cross that threshold, things start getting wild. First up, the yellow anaconda. This snake doesn't always make the headlines like its green cousin, but it's still a serious contender. Most yellow anacondas measure around 10 to 15 feet, but some grow up to 20 feet. That's the length of 2 full-size couches lined up end to end. Found in South America's swamps, marshes, and slow-moving rivers, the yellow anaconda is a master ambush predator. It prefers to strike from the water, waiting for unsuspecting prey like birds, capybaras, or fish. What makes it impressive isn't just length, but thickness. These snakes are powerfully built, giving them the strength to overpower animals much larger than you'd expect. And while they're smaller than the green anaconda, spotting one in the wild would still stop anyone in their tracks. Now, let's travel to South Asia to meet the Indian python. This species is one of the true giants of the python family. On average, Indian pythons grow between 15 and 20 feet, but rare individuals have been reported at over 21 feet. Just imagine a snake stretching as long as a moving van. Unlike the slender, venomous cobras, Indian pythons are thick-bodied constrictors. They use sheer muscle power to suffocate and subdue their prey. What's fascinating is their adaptability. They can live in grasslands, forests, swamps, and even near villages. In fact, some have been seen slithering into urban areas in search of livestock or stray dogs, which makes them both feared and respected across their range. One of the most jaw-dropping facts about the Indian python is that it can go weeks or even months without eating after a huge meal. Scientists have documented individuals consuming prey as large as deer, then surviving on that single feast for months at a time. That ability to binge and wait is part of what makes them so successful in the wild. So, the yellow anaconda and the Indian python already push beyond the boa and king cobra, reaching sizes most people can barely imagine. But hold on, because the next part takes us to Africa and Australia, where snakes don't just cross the 20-foot line, they redefine the definition of giant.
So far, we've seen snakes that can hit 20 feet and beyond, but now it's time to travel to Africa and Australia, 2 continents that produce some of the most intimidating serpents on Earth. These aren't just snakes, they're predators powerful enough to take down antelope, bats, and sometimes even crocodiles. Let's start with the African rock python. This is Africa's largest snake, and it earns that title without question. Most African rock pythons measure between 16 and 20 feet, but record holders have stretched out to around 23 feet. Imagine a snake that could span across a one-car garage. With that size, it's no wonder this species has a fierce reputation. Unlike the boas or cobras we saw earlier, the African rock python is known for being particularly aggressive. It doesn't shy away from a fight and has been recorded taking down massive prey, including antelope and warthogs. In some rare cases, they've even gone after crocodiles. Yes, a snake versus a crocodile. That's the kind of battle that feels ripped straight out of a nature documentary. What makes the snake even more fascinating is its toughness. African rock pythons are survivors, thriving in grasslands, savannas, and even near human settlements. While they're not venomous, their strength alone is enough to make them one of the deadliest constrictors on the planet. Encountering one in the wild would be an unforgettable and probably terrifying experience. Now, let's move across the ocean to meet the amethystine python, also called the scrub python. Native to Australia and Papua New Guinea, this snake is one of the largest in the world, with some individuals recorded at lengths up to 23 feet. That makes it the longest snake in Australia, a land already famous for extreme wildlife. But the amethystine python isn't just about size, it's also about skill. Unlike heavier snakes like the anaconda, scrub pythons are surprisingly agile. They can climb trees with ease, giving them access to birds, bats, and even arboreal mammals. One of the most unique things about this python is its diet. Researchers have documented scrub pythons hunting flying foxes, which are massive fruit bats with wingspans of up to 5 feet. Just picture a python snatching a bat mid-flight. It's like something out of a horror movie, only it's real. So between the sheer aggression of the African rock python and the sky-hunting prowess of the scrub python, these snakes raise the stakes. But believe it or not, the next giants aren't just long. They're built like living bulldozers, with the kind of bulk that makes even these monsters seem almost lean. At this point, we've seen snakes that are long, strong, and terrifying in their own ways. But now it's time to talk about the true heavyweights, the bulk builders. These snakes don't just impress with their length, they overwhelm with sheer body mass. When you see one of these in person, it's not just the size that shocks you, it's the feeling that you're staring at a moving tree trunk. First up, the Burmese python. This snake is one of the most recognizable giants in the world, and for good reason. On average, Burmese pythons grow between 16 and 23 feet long, but record individuals have stretched well beyond 25 feet. What makes them so remarkable is their girth. These snakes are incredibly thick-bodied, which adds to their already intimidating presence. One famous Burmese python in captivity weighed over 400 pounds, nearly as heavy as a professional football player. In the wild, Burmese pythons are versatile hunters. They feed on birds, deer, pigs, and in some cases even alligators. In fact, Florida's Everglades has become a hotspot for massive Burmese pythons after people released them as unwanted pets. They've since become an invasive species, thriving in the wetlands and outcompeting local predators. Stories of pythons taking on alligators have stunned scientists and the public alike. It's a reminder of just how powerful these reptiles truly are. But if the Burmese python is thick and heavy, the green anaconda takes things to an entirely new level. Found in South America's rivers and swamps, the green anaconda is the heaviest snake in the world. They typically measure 20 to 29 feet long, but what really sets them apart is their weight, up to 500 pounds. That's heavier than 2 adult men combined. Seeing one of these in the water would make even the bravest person hesitate. The green anaconda's hunting strategy is perfectly suited to its environment. It lurks underwater, almost invisible, before launching a surprise attack. Its diet is equally shocking. It can take down capybaras, caimans, and on rare occasions even jaguars. The sheer strength needed to overpower a predator like a jaguar shows why this snake is considered the ultimate ambush predator of South America. So between the Burmese python's massive body and the green anaconda's record-breaking bulk, we've reached a new level of giant. But the story doesn't end here, because while bulk is impressive, the next snakes are all about one thing: pushing length to the absolute extreme. And one of them holds the crown as the longest snake ever recorded.
We've seen snakes that crush with coils, rise to meet you eye to eye, and even rival crocodiles in battle. We've seen snakes so heavy they could outweigh a grizzly bear. But now we've reached the final tier, the true length champions.
These snakes aren't just massive, they're legends, stretching to lengths that almost seem impossible. Let's start with Olivier's python, also known as the populin python. This snake doesn't get the same attention as the anaconda or Burmese python, but it deserves respect. Found in New Guinea, it has been recorded at lengths between 24 and 27 feet. That's longer than most buses used for city transport. Despite its size, Olivier's python isn't commonly seen, which makes it one of the more mysterious giants. Spotting one in the wild is a rare event, and those who have describe it as unforgettable. What's interesting is that, while it can grow extremely long, it doesn't usually reach the same bulk as an anaconda, giving it a more slender but still intimidating appearance. But the crown of the snake world belongs to the reticulated python. This is the longest snake species on Earth, and no other serpent comes close to claiming that record. Reticulated pythons usually measure around 20 to 25 feet, but exceptional individuals have stretched past 30 feet. The largest scientifically verified specimen measured over 32 feet long. Just think about that, a snake longer than 2 pickup trucks parked bumper to bumper. Unlike the green anaconda, which dominates with weight, the reticulated python rules with length. It's slimmer, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. These snakes are excellent climbers and swimmers, making them highly adaptable. Their patterned scales act as camouflage, blending them seamlessly into their environments. Prey doesn't usually know one is near until it's far too late. The reticulated python has also earned a reputation for its interactions with humans. While attacks are rare, they have been documented. In some remote villages in Southeast Asia, these snakes are both feared and respected, often appearing in local myths and legends. After all, a creature that can grow longer than most small boats is bound to inspire stories. So here we are, the end of the list. From the boa constrictor and king cobra to the unbeatable reticulated python, the journey through these 10 giants shows us just how extreme nature can get. Snakes aren't only symbols of fear, they're also symbols of survival, adaptation, and power. And while the reticulated python holds the length record, every snake we've covered proves that size in the animal kingdom comes in more forms than one.